Meet Moses Shaha, leader of Kenya's small-scale farmers, hoeing maize on his family farm by the coast. Now, like farmers across the world, he's being urged plant crops not just for food, but for fuel. He fears the idea is crazy, but is he right?
Why feed a car in Europe while I'm going hungry? And you're telling me to substitute my land where I will grow my small crops, however small, yeah, with biofuel crops. To me, it does not make sense.
The black seeds of the jatropha tree, rich in fuel that can be burnt like oil. Jatropha's the biofuel that everyone's talking about in Kenya. In theory, jatropha could mean growing biofuels without jeopardizing food security. That's because it grows in marginal lands where food crops don't flourish so well.
We do have spots of places where jatropha has been grown in homesteads. And we have been trying to see if those seeds can produce enough oil for someone to be bold enough to say, this is going to change my lifestyle.
So Future Food took Moses on a trip to help solve his and our dilemma. Food or fuel? He'll be in for some surprises.
Hodi, hodi. Karibu, karibu.
Peter Ndungu has been growing biofuels for 6 years.
This is where I plant maize and jatropha mixed with passion fruits.
Does the jatropha negatively affect your food crops?
I have been intercropping it with maize since 2006, and I've not seen any harm in it. Look at how healthy these passion fruits are.
Would you advise other farmers to follow your example?
I would advise them to plant jatropha and get some income, and also from the passion and the maize. They can reap the benefits of 3 crops at a go from one farm.
Moses is still skeptical.
Looks a good thing. It looks a good thing. But still, remember I said there were very few trees. 2, the production was very minimal. It was not convincing. Had I seen some twigs bending under the weight of fruit or pods, then I would have thought otherwise.
So is Moses too skeptical about biofuels? He's come to Energy Africa to meet the people who introduced jatropha to Peter and 100 other local farmers.
How are Rick? How are you?
We believe here was a golden opportunity. Poverty reduction, clean fuel. We believed agriculture, keep people in the countryside instead of having them go into the cities and slums.
Yeah. But other farmers didn't stick with jatropha as long as model farmer Peter did. And Moses is about to learn the consequences.
What are some of the significant challenges that you may have come across?
One thing is growing jatropha. Another thing is getting a high yield. It's a new crop and it hasn't been domesticated properly. So how to get a high yield, how to prune it correctly, how to be guaranteed a production which makes it viable, that is still a challenge.
Would you wholeheartedly advise small-scale farmers in their small holdings to give it all in jatropha growing?
I would ask them to focus first on their food crops, but I'll be very cautious at this stage of the plant, which is early stage, without the plant being properly domesticated, to recommend it to small-scale farmers.
Moses driving 300 kilometers inland from the Shimba Hills to Matito Ande, classified as marginal land like 2/3 of Kenya. Boniface Mwerki scrapes a living on a 5-acre farm so badly affected by drought, he rarely grows enough food for himself and his wife. They rely on food parcels for much of the year. What Boniface does grow, the biofuel jatropha.
Lakini kwa ujumla
So does Jatropha benefit you more than growing the food crops?
kilimo cha chakula.
Jatropha is 10 times more profitable than when I farm food. Because when the drought comes, we cannot rely on those food crops. Jatropha, therefore, provides an alternative income for me to buy food.
Open the valve.
Looks good, but Moses isn't convinced Boniface's success shows the whole project is working.
As we went out there to see Mr. Boniface, he's one of the model farmers. But the indicators of success of this project were quite absent. Yeah? And do you think this is the most viable project that you think can bring farmers out of poverty?
What has he produced out of that land? For 48 years, he's been living there. And in fact, this is the first time he's producing something out of that land.
Moses is about to learn something that could finally dent his skepticism. Biofuel farming has encouraged innovation in food farming.
There is a holistic angle to this magic crop. There is the environmental benefit, the ecological benefits. Apart from that, the improvement on soil, they might even actually end up in the end of all this magic benefiting from growing other crops because the soil rehabilitation, the moisture and things like that. Biofuels and the benefit for Africa is not exports. It is for local improvements and needs. That's the truth of the matter. It will never make a big industry for exports. It will never make a big industry, but it will improve the lives as they are.
Moses now uncertain what to advise other farmers, though not yet ready for biofuels himself.
Moses Shah would not plant Jatropha as yet because I am torn in between the stories that I've seen.
Biofuels may be the future, but this is a continent with a history of famine. So it's not surprising if this very influential farmer is for now putting food before fuel.
The most important thing for us as small-scale farmers is food security. That's the most important thing.